Her scream echoed down the empty hallway, a raw, piercing sound that shattered the silence like glass. It wasn't just pain, it was years of bottled-up hurt, fear, and rage erupting in a single moment. Lila Carter, the quiet girl who never looked up from her books, stood trembling, her cheeks stinging from the slap delivered by Ethan Walsh, the school's golden boy turned tyrant. His friends snickered behind him, their laughter a cruel chorus. But then, in a blur of motion, something inside Lila broke. Before anyone could blink, Ethan's arm twisted unnaturally, his own scream drowning out the echoes of hers. His elbow cracked, and he crumpled to the floor, clutching it in shock. The hallway fell silent. No one moved. No one spoke. Not until the teacher's footsteps thundered toward them. Lila wasn't always the quiet girl. Once, she'd been the kid who laughed too loud, who chased her little brother around the backyard, pretending they were superheroes. Back then, her world was bright, colored by her mother's warm hugs and her father's bad jokes over dinner. But that was before the accident, before the car crash that stole her parents and left her and her brother, Max, in the care of their overworked aunt. At 13, Lila learned that grief could make you invisible. She stopped laughing, stopped talking, stopped trying to be seen. At Jefferson High, she became a ghost, slipping through crowded halls with her head down, her dark hair a curtain hiding her face. Books became her refuge, their pages a world where she could escape the whispers about her tragedy. High school, though, had a way of sniffing out weakness. Ethan Walsh noticed Lila's silence like a predator sensing prey. He was everything she wasn't. Popular, confident, untouchable. Captain of the soccer team, with a smile that charmed teachers and a cruelty that ruled the halls. His friends, Jake and Tyler, followed his lead, their taunts a daily ritual. It started small, snide comments about her thrift store clothes, her worn-out backpack, her refusal to speak in class. "What's wrong, ghost girl? Keck out your tongue." Ethan would jeer, tossing her books to the floor. Lila never responded. She'd pick up her things, her hands shaking, and walk away. Every time, she told herself it didn't matter. Every time, it hurt a little more. By her junior year, the bullying had escalated. Ethan's taunts turned physical, a shove in the stairwell, an accidental elbow to her ribs in the cafeteria line. Lila's aunt, drowning in bills and her own grief, barely noticed the bruises Lila hid under long sleeves. Max, now 10, was the only one who saw through her silence. "Why don't you tell someone?" he'd ask, his big eyes searching hers. Lila would force a smile, ruffle his hair, and say, "It's fine, Max. Just focus on school." But it wasn't fine. The anger inside her grew, a slow-burning fire she didn't know how to control. She hated Ethan, hated his smug grin, hated how he made her feel small. But more than that, she hated herself for staying quiet, for letting him win. The day it all changed started like any other. Lila woke up to Max's chatter. Her aunts rushed goodbye before another double shift. At school, she kept her head down, dodging Ethan's crew in the halls. But third period was gym, the one class she couldn't avoid them. Ethan was there, tossing a basketball with Jake, his eyes locking onto her like a missile finding its target. "Yo, ghost girl, you gonna run today or just stand there like a statue?" he called, lobbing the ball at her. It hit her shoulder, hard, and the class laughed. Lila's face burned, but she said nothing, retreating to the bleachers with her book. The real trouble came after lunch. Lila was heading to her locker when Ethan and his friends cornered her in the east hallway, a quiet stretch near the art room. No teachers, no cameras, just the four of them. Ethan stepped close, too close, his breath hot on her face. "You think you're better than us, huh? Always hiding behind your stupid books." He snatched the novel from her hands, her mother's old copy of The Secret Garden, its pages worn from years of love. Lila's heart lurched. "Give it back," she whispered, her voice barely audible. Ethan grinned, holding it just out of reach. "Make me," he said, and before she could move, his hand cracked across her cheek. The slap wasn't hard, but it was humiliating, a public claim of power. Jake and Tyler laughed, egging him on. Lila's vision blurred, not from tears but from something darker, something primal. Her scream tore through the air, startling even Ethan. He laughed, raising his hand again, but this time, Lila didn't flinch. Years of self-defense lessons her dad had insisted on, lessons she'd thought were pointless, flooded back. Her body moved before her mind could catch up. She grabbed Ethan's arm, twisted it behind his back, and drove her weight into the joint. The crack was sickening, followed by Ethan's howl of pain as he hit the floor. Jake and Tyler froze, their laughter dying. Lila stood over him, panting, her mother's book clutched to her chest. The teacher, Mrs. Hargrove, arrived seconds later, her face a mask of shock. "What happened here?" she demanded. Ethan, clutching his arm, sputtered, "She attacked me. She's crazy." But Lila's burning cheek and the book in her hands told a different story. Mrs. Hargrove sent them all to the principal's office, her voice sharp but uncertain. The principal, Mr. Dawson, was a tired man who preferred easy solutions. Ethan's story came first, laced with crocodile tears and his usual charm. "She just snapped, sir. I was just talking to her." Jake and Tyler backed him up, their lies seamless. Lila sat silently, her heart pounding. She knew how this looked, a quiet girl with no friends, no voice, against the school's star athlete. But then something shifted. Sarah, a shy freshman who'd been in the art room, stepped forward. She'd seen everything through the doorway. The slap, the taunts, Lila's desperate defense. "Ethan hit her first," she said, her voice trembling but firm. Another student, a boy from the chess club who'd been passing by, corroborated her story. For the first time, Lila wasn't invisible. Mr. Dawson's face hardened. Ethan was suspended, his elbow in a brace, his soccer season over. Lila was sent home for the day, but not before Mrs. Hargrove pulled her aside. "You're stronger than you know," she said softly. "Don't let them take that from you." At home, Lila faced her aunt's worry and Max's questions. "Did you really break his arm?" he asked, wide-eyed. Lila nodded, her throat tight. "I didn't mean to hurt him that bad," she admitted. I couldn't take it anymore." Her aunt hugged her, something she hadn't done in months, and promised to talk to the school. That night, Lila opened the secret garden and found a note tucked inside, written in her mother's handwriting. "Be brave, my Lila. The world needs your light." She cried then, not from pain, but from the realization that she'd forgotten how to shine. The weeks that followed were hard. Ethan's friends spread rumors, calling her violent, unstable. Some kids avoided her, others stared. But there were small victories too. Sarah started sitting with her at lunch, her quiet presence a balm. The chess club boy, Daniel, invited her to a meeting where she discovered a knack for strategy. Slowly, Lila began to speak up, in class, in the halls, even at home. She told her aunt about the bullying, about the weight she'd carried alone. Together, they found a counselor who helped Lila unpack her grief, her anger, her fear of being seen. The biggest challenge wasn't the rumors or the glares, it was forgiving herself. Lila replayed that moment in the hallway over and over, wondering if she could have stopped Ethan without hurting him. Her counselor helped her see that her reaction wasn't just about that day, it was the culmination of years of silence, of swallowing her pain. "You protected yourself," the counselor said. "Now you get to decide who you want to be." By spring, Lila wasn't the quiet girl anymore. She joined the chess club, her quick mind earning her a spot in tournaments. She started writing poetry, pouring her emotions into words she shared with Sarah and Daniel. When Ethan returned to school, his arm healed but his ego bruised, he avoided her. The balance of power had shifted, not because Lila was violent, but because she'd found her voice. She wasn't invisible anymore. The final bell of the year rang, and Lila stood in the same hallway where it all began. She wasn't afraid anymore. She'd faced her bullies, her grief, and her own silence, and she'd come out stronger. As she walked out of Jefferson High, Max running to meet her, she felt her mother's note in her pocket. "Be brave," it said, and for the first time in years, Lila believed she could be.